let's take a look at our top selections.
Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. The New Year's Day feature race at Santa Anita is the Grade 2 Joe Hernandez Stakes. Let's take a look at the field for race number 7 at the Great Race Place. Lots of really interesting features for this race, Mike. It's at 6.5 furlongs on the turf. We're not using the downhill turf course configuration anymore. There's a new chute at Santa Anita, so it's got a straightaway for the Joe Hernandez, and also no Lasix for these stakes races. So in a way, a lot of these horses kind of riding blind with Lasix off.
Yeah, true. Yeah, a lot of things going on here, Dad. I mean, just a lot of good horses. First of all, they drew a really good field for it, and I like that they're kind of, all sort of meeting in the middle, because it's not, a true turf sprint at 5 or 5.5, and it gives the talented milers that are turning back for this race a real chance to win. It's a very interesting race.
It's a very competitive race, a true skull buster to be sure. And let's take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector, because while there are some speeds in here, you see Texas Wedge and Blitzkrieg and Wildman Jack, I don't really think there are blazers. So I think this pace will be honest. I don't think it's going to be a barbecue.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I thought it was pretty, tough to decipher who was going to go and who wasn't. As you mentioned, there's a big straightaway here. So, I mean, they could certainly go a good pace in this race. It'll just be interesting to see where everybody winds up.
Texas Wedge, the number 1, we see up close to the pace according to the projector, and this horse certainly has credentials. He won the Hernandez when it was contested at 5.5 furlongs in 2020, and then he bounced right back to win a stakes race at Gulfstream Park. He did some good things at the beginning of the year. It looked like he started to tail off. I like that Peter Miller gave him most of the summer off, and he responded last time out with an okay effort, although when you watch that race, you kind of get the feeling that Chaos Theory might just be better than he is right now.
Yeah, that's kind of how I looked at it. Not that this horse ran poorly last time. He ran fine, but he got a really good trip. And I don't even know if it was as close as the head decision suggested it was last time. Dan, this horse ran okay in that race. I don't really care about the Breeders' Cup before that. That wasn't his best performance, but he's certainly better than that. He could win this race. We'll see what kind of price he is. I thought he was a little light on the morning line.
The number 2 PR Radio Star is a very likable horse. He's won 10 times in his career. He hit 500 from 10 starts in 2020, and he goes out for a very good trainer in Phil D'Amato. That being said, he's only raced once on the turf in his life. It was a $40,000 claimer a couple of years ago, and he was just able to get third. There are a lot of class and surface questions for him to address.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking a real shot here if they're going to leave him in this race to try turf, because it's not like he's found some kind of, weak field here to kick off the year. This is a really, really strong field. A lot of talented turf horses in here.
Fascinating entrant is up next, the number 3 Encoder. And let's go back to his most recent turf win. This is 2 starts back. It's also December the 29th, 2019 for Encoder, as he wins the Eddie Logan Stakes going a mile. He missed basically all of 2020. He didn't run on the turf at all last year. He did some very nice things as a 2-year-old. This is an 84 Beyer speed figure performance going a mile. He did win sprinting in his career debut. This long layoff, taking on older horses, it seems like a big ask.
It really does. I mean, he's really going to have to come back sharp, and he's going to have to come back very much improved as well. Listen, I was a fan of this horse. I thought he was a good 2-year-old. I was very interested to see what he would do last year at 3, and he didn't get to run. We'll see what he does now, Dan. They're asking a lot of him to come back in this spot.
To just show how wild 2020 was, here's Hembree. Now, Hembree we've always liked. He always seems to show up in major graded stakes races. He never wins. It's always close. We figure Hembree's never going to get over the top, and he does last time out. On dirt, nonetheless, not an off-the-turf race, in a race straight on dirt, and he's claimed by Peter Miller, who's had a lot of success claiming horses on the East Coast and in the Midwest and shipping out to the West Coast. Maybe Hembree has been a sprinter all along. He's run some nice races at shorter distances in the past. At least he's coming into this race sharp.
Agreed. Listen, I do think shorter is better for him. He's going to be able to sit a little bit and make one run into this race. I think we already know that he's good enough to beat this field if he runs his good race and gets a trip, because trips are very important to this horse. I don't know. I could use him somewhere. I don't think I really want to take him on top, Dan, just because I didn't love his 2020 campaign. I know he didn't, run terribly in any of those races. I just didn't love his form in 2020. Maybe Peter Miller gets him turned around.
True Valor, the number 5. I've always had a soft spot in my heart for this horse. He was a multiple graded stakes winner in 2019, and like a couple of others in here, he ran some good races against better competition, could never seem to get over the hump. Graham Motion's trying to rebuild him as a turf sprinter, and it's worked out, it looks like. Let's watch his last race. The Turf Sprint Championship at Aqueduct, where he's bottled up in behind horses turning into the stretch. He tries to get to the outside. He's kind of herded in, never really gets optimal clearance until too late. Maybe he wasn't going to win this race with a perfect trip, but it was nice to see him wake up a little bit.
He ran fine in this race. It turned out to be a very fast race, Dan. The winner turned aside with a 102 buyer winning. This horse ran fine. Yeah, he was, sort of bottled up over there behind the winner through the upper stretch. I would have, perhaps liked to have seen him show a little more fire once he got clear late there. He was just sort of going evenly to the wire. And I think it's, worth noting that he was in a really good trip all the way around there before he got in a little bit of traffic. So I don't know. I could go either way on his last race. I think this horse is fine. I like him sprinting. If he's a good price, I'm going to use him.
Blitzkrieg, the 6, Wildman Jack, the 7, both horses trained by Doug O'Neill, both horses with experience without Lasix. They raced in Dubai in 2020 with some success. Blitzkrieg was third in the Maidan Sprint without Lasix and returned to North America to get a nice, easy trip when winning the Grade 3 American going a mile. His last couple of races at a mile I didn't think were great. I didn't see the excuse in the City of Hope mile. I know he ran against a very good horse in Mo Forza. Last time out in the Seabiscuit, he tired again in the stretch. Maybe the turnback's what he needs.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does. He was the O'Neill horse that I thought I might use somewhere at the expense of Wildman Jack. We'll see what happens. I like this horse. I like that he has speed, Dan. And it's at least worth pointing out. I know it's not down the hill anymore, but going back to 2019, this horse had success down the hill. He was a pretty good turf sprinter.
No doubt about it. He was 3 for 3 in 2019 going down the hill. Was really in sharp form. It led to a win in the San Francisco Mile. Wildman Jack, on the other hand, really began 2020 with a bang. He won the Nat Al Sheba Turf Sprint and track record time going 6. He won the Grade 3 Daytona and track record time going 5.5 furlongs. He's the kind of horse who's an enigma wrapped in a riddle because sometimes he throws in a real stinker. I won't hold the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint against him. I don't think he likes Keeneland, and maybe he doesn't like that kind of class of horse. He's an interesting fit in here. The question is the 6.5. I think he gets it.
Yeah, the distance could be a question. His good race is going to make him tough in here. I don't know that I would take him as the favorite. They made him the morning line favorite in the race. I don't know if I would take him at that kind of a price, but he certainly has a race that would make him competitive in here.
Let's watch Chaos Theory, who's just been so improved. Johnny Sadler claimed him 4 starts back. He's now won 3 out of his last 4. This was a great ride by a rider that's been giving nothing but great rides on turf in 2020. Chaos Theory dropped inside to save some ground. The rail opens up, and he just continues to find a little bit more. That's Texas Wedge, the number 1, striking to the front. Chaos Theory just outpaces him to the wire. We'll see if he gets the 6.5. We know 5 and 5.5 isn't an issue, and it would help if this horse gets a little bit of pace.
Yeah, a little pace would help him because he is a horse who wants to sit a little bit early and then make a run. I think he'll get the 6.5. You do have to worry about that. Just when I watch him run, I think he's going to get it. I liked his last race a lot. As you mentioned, 3 for 4 in his last 4 starts. And the only time he didn't win at Keeneland, he ran great that day. He had no pace to run at. He got shuffled back early in that race. He was rolling at the end. This is a good horse. He's in good form.
Oiseau de Guerre, the 9 scratches. So we move on to the 10 Mesut. And let's watch his last race. It was way back on October the 12th for Carla Gaines. I thought he ran okay. He's on the outside in a short field trying to come from out of it. This pace was not fast for a 5.5 furlong race, the half mile in almost 45 seconds. And he's just not going to be able to run these horses down. I thought it was a good try. He might be a little bit class compromised. I'm not sure he's a graded stakes horse, but at a price, you could use him maybe underneath.
Yeah, the class is really going to tell in this race. I do think the added furlong will help him too, Dan. He's another horse who had good form going 6.5 down the hill. This is a different kind of race, but a little bit more distance could help this horse.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Grade 2 Joe Hernandez Stakes, and this was really a tough race for me. I wanted a price, and Ohio's coming back for a 10-year-old campaign, and Ohio was actually a Grade 1 winner in 2019 when he pulled off a big upset in the Frankie Kilroe Mile, so we know he can step with these kind of horses. They tried him in the Kilroe back in March. He was just overmatched in that field. He fits with these horses from a class standpoint. I don't mind him cutting back to 6.5 furlongs. You're going to have to deal with an old horse coming off a long layoff, however, from kind of a tough post. On his best day, though, he fits at a price.
Oh, at his best day, he definitely does. We'll see what we get off the left. It's an interesting spot, if nothing else, to start him back sprinting. Horse who, I don't know, he hasn't sprinted in a very long time. I had to go with Chaos Theory again, Dan. I mean, I've just been sort of following this horse. I like his recent form, as I mentioned. He was a horse who I actually wanted to bet in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, but he was also eligible and didn't get in. I'll take a shot with him here.
I have to use that horse as well. I have Chaos Theory in my picks. It'll be interesting to see what Hembree does first time on the West Coast, turning back in distance. It really is a fun race to kick off 2021 at Santa Anita. The grade 2 Joe Hernandez. Mike's going 8.564. I'm going 11.485. Happy New Year. Best of luck.